Go for yours! Die! 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 Ellie! Ellie, stop! Stop, Ellie! Oh, my God. Come on, let's go! Come on, Suze, get the hell out of here! Get up! Frankie's out! Hey, you!
Hello, boys. What's happening?
You choose the wrong night to be right. Come on, run! Hold it!
What are you doing around here?
Cool it, kiddo. Come to the real teenage ball.
Hello again. Essay here. Anyone who's been paying attention to events probably knows what happened over in Texas involving those two boys. You know, that Anthony kid and that Metcalf kid, with the Metcalf kid basically ending up in a box. Yeah, that. Well, I will say that it's a tragedy losing your boy. But what's happening now is much, much worse. Indeed. It seems like every time when something like this happens, all the kooks practically are falling out of the sky. It's almost like, reminds me of that damn story with Kurt Douglas. It was called Ace in the Hole. And you say, huh? Yeah. If you ever saw that story, you know what I'm talking about. Because what you have happening in Texas right now is basically a simple case of homicide. But because one person is white and the other person is black or Negro or African American or whatever, it seems like a circus has come to town in the form of the news media, various NGOs, grifters, and basically rabble-rousers and idiots. Yeah. The last thing that town really needs. However, this video is not so much about the murder, it's about the circus. And how what's going on right now could definitely de-evolve into something catastrophic. More catastrophic than the death of some young white kid. Just a quick reminder to all of you that my short story, The White Cat, is still available on Substack. The links are down below in the description. Join Margot Thompson, a beautiful stage actress and recent widow who finds salvation in the form of a white cat during a night of terror. And while you're looking up my oddball thriller, my book series, Glitch, is still available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other bookstores. The links are down below in the description. Join Ike and Sandra, a reluctant jewel thief and a kidnapped teen model who are on the run from the law across the American Southwest. Now I'm going to show you a snippet of a video by our old friend Paul Joseph Watson. And let's just say this, he's more than a little concerned that what's happening in Texas right now can definitely go off the rails. Remember George Floyd? Yeah, precisely. Okay, are you ready? Here we go.
A wise man once said,
Just get away.
Carmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf in the heart because Metcalf asked him to move out of the way. The real victim, Carmelo Anthony.
He's been raised in a two-parent home with structure, stability, love, and we put God first in everything that we do.
Yeah, I'm sure the dude who took a knife to a track meet and stabbed another kid in the heart over an argument was just a nice, well-behaved Christian boy.
My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom.
Why is she acting like it was her own son that got brutally killed?
His mental health is deteriorating.
The real outrage? Racist conservatives posting about the case online.
Conservative operatives that have been posting non-stop bigotry and yet racism.
Days after his own son's death, Metcalf's father basically grovels to Anthony's family.
It's very unfortunate that this other child decided to make a bad choice that's going to affect him for the rest of his life. I have compassion. This is not a race issue. This is not a black and white issue. I don't appreciate some of the remarks I've seen online.
Jeff Metcalf shows up at the press conference. Then they call him disrespectful.
That was disrespectful and just shows you all the character who is not invited. He knows that it's inappropriate to be near this family. But he did it.
And get him kicked out by the police.
Video of Jeff Metcalf being escorted out of the co-working space where the Next Gen Action Network.
Note how he left without stabbing anyone in the heart.
That was disrespectful.
Your son's just been murdered in cold blood. But how dare you stand at the back of a room for a press conference about your son being murdered in cold blood?
That was disrespectful. It's people out here reminding us of the black struggle in America.
Oh yes, the struggle to not plunge a knife into someone's vital organs because they asked you to move. It wasn't his fault though, oh no. It was the school district's fault because they didn't cancel the track meet when it rained.
Why didn't you cancel or postpone? With weather in that magnitude, you couldn't have a track meet in rain or thunderstorm or clouds.
This is the lawyer's rap sheet, by the way, including a conviction for serious bodily injury to a 2-year-old child consisting of abusive head trauma. But yes, Dominique, please continue to morally berate us about racism.
Racism.
And grandstand about the right to self-defense.
These racist bigots try to prevent us from standing up for our baby, our boy.
They organised a press conference designed to address disinformation about the case. Then came out with pearlers like this.
We got the video of Cal Rittenhouse with an AK-47 shooting 3 people in the back.
Categorically didn't happen. Deliberate disinformation is terrible.
The disinformation that was put out
proceeds to literally put out deliberate disinformation.
The claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything else are completely false.
Really? And why is there a brand new car with a fresh license sitting in the driveway of your $900,000 gated community house? Deranged BLM activists are now becoming violently emboldened by the farcical adulation of Anthony.
Hey, to all of the people who are against Carmelo Anthony, me as a black man in America, white people, I'm telling you and I'm telling you now, you ever even think to approach me, bully me, harass me, think you're gonna be with your twin brother or twin whatever, and do anything to me, I too will poke you.
Just get the fuck away.
As well. Straight to the heart.
Wherever you have to go, just get away.
And that's on self-defense. This is not the Jim Crow era. This ain't 400 years ago. This ain't 1619. This ain't back in them days.
There's no fixing this.
Y'all don't want to end up like Austin.
Offend me and I'll respond with impulsive, overreactive, violent, retaliatory rage. Not helping the stereotype, mate. A clip of a black person nonchalantly walking past one of the white victims of the Florida State University shooting while sipping a Starbucks latte.
This is America.
Not helping the stereotype. Deshaun Leith, a much revered community leader, callously shot dead by cops. Turns out he's a serial criminal who repeatedly punched a state trooper while screaming that he was gonna kill him.
Next time you tell me go die. Next time you tell me go die. Turn around. Put your hands behind your back. Send me another unit. He's on foot. Going down the berm. Hey, you better go down.
Not helping the stereotype. Great decision, BLM, to lobby for body cams. Some are saying Anthony's trial is already prejudiced because there'll be another BLM Summer of Love mass violent rioting if he's convicted, because remember, he's the real victim.
And let me be clear.
He's raised nearly $500,000, had his bail massively reduced, being allowed to stay at home, and thanks to BLM activists and the media, is coddled by the narrative that somehow we're meant to feel sympathy for him.
Bigotry and yet racism.
Can anyone say black privilege? It's virtually guaranteed that there's numerous videos of this incident, but they mysteriously haven't come out. I wonder why that.
Okay, you saw that. Now, of course, everyone who lived through the so-called Summer of Love back in 2020 remembers how bad things got. And let's not pretend. The families who are involved, I think they are trying to avoid the circus, but like a tidal wave, I think they're getting basically swept away. Indeed, as you saw in Watson's video, you got some clown from the NGAN, I think they're called the Next Generation Action whatever, sticking their 2 cents in. And then on the Metcalf side, you have a bunch of these damn white supremacist, white nationalists showing up in town. And I know they don't want those people around. And the worst thing about it is, from what we know, what happened between these two boys wasn't racial. No, it wasn't. But unfortunately, you have a bunch of people, kooks, weirdos, crazy people from the outside coming in, basically trying to make it about race. And indeed, as you saw in Watson's video, the Anthony family, someone gave them nearly $500,000. And their son is supposed to be the perp. Now, of course, some of you are saying right now, yeah, but hey, going to trial for your life costs money. And I'm thinking, But still, don't you find that suspicious? I mean, let's not pretend. If you go to Chicago on any week of the year, you're going to see a whole bunch of black people being arrested for murder. Do you see them collecting $500,000 from GoFundMe? I'm thinking not. Why do you suppose that is, that this particular kid in this particular zip code is getting all that money? Yeah. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if you trace back all those bank accounts. They'll probably lead back to the usual bad actors. Yeah. Radical leftists, Antifa, some of these NGOs, like some of these George Soros bought and paid for organizations. Yeah. Because let's not pretend, those are not good people. They're basically the bomb throwers. They were the ones that George Floyd situation went totally off the rails and led to several months of rioting, causing about $1 billion in damages and a couple of dozen deaths. Yeah. And here it comes again. Now, I am not going to get into what actually happened between those two guys, because the only people who know is the two guys. Unfortunately, one of them is dead. And unless you want to bring out a Ouija board and try to contact the damn McAfee kid, well, good luck with that. And of course, as for the Anthony kid, let's just say this. I think he knows his rights. And the Fifth Amendment says you don't have to incriminate yourself. So I guess in the end, if we don't get jury nullification, I might add, his fate's going to be judged in the courtroom, not on social media, and God willing, not in the streets. Because like I said, we don't need that at all. No, no, hell no. And of course, the worst thing about this is that stuff like this has happened before. Yeah. Because remember Trayvon Martin and Zimmerman? I remember that. Now, they didn't have a big riot, but it could have gone that way. Makes you wonder why. But of course, maybe because in that particular incident, I guess the BLM crowd and I guess the Antifa crowd was probably asleep that week. And there were other instances too, besides Trayvon Martin. In fact, they had an incident that happened in Texas, not in the same town. No, I think it happened in Waco, back during the First World War, when some black kid was lynched by a white crowd because they thought he murdered some local white woman. And apparently, the kid apparently was tortured to confessing, and then the people killed him. And yet, apparently, the murder wasn't racial. Apparently, it was financial. And yet, since it was during the First World War, all the typical bad actors came out of the woodwork for that incident. And then, of course, anyone who remembers the Central Park 5, yeah, that was a bad incident. I remember when it happened. And unfortunately for those brothers that got locked up, let's just say this. I guess they didn't talk. I guess what's the cliche? They didn't Mirandize those guys. Or if they did Mirandize them, they didn't know what Miranda was. And those clowns just kept talking. They wouldn't shut up. And they pretty much talked themselves into a long stretch over in Attica. And then, of course, as you remember that case, years later, NYPD found a real clown that beat that woman in the park and almost killed her. Talk about whoopsie. Yeah. And then, of course, afterwards, the damn the state of New York had to have a little payoff to make those guys, go away. Yeah. But then again, those guys got off lightly because they had some really bad incidents. Like, for example, they had a riot that happened in Chicago. And no, I ain't talking about that one from the 68. No, I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about what happened in 1919. When some black kid was murdered by a bunch of white kids because he happened to end up on the whites only beach. Yeah, I told you it was 1919. And unfortunately, it sparked a race riot that lasted for well over a week and caused a whole bunch of people getting killed, both white folks and black folks. Yeah, ugly, not good. But the thing is, they claim it wasn't a racial attack, and I'm thinking, Really? You sure? I mean, it was a segregated beach. I mean, it was just the way things were back in those days. You know, Jim Crow. But of course, there was a similar incident that happened in Australia. It said it wasn't a segregated beach. No, apparently what happened was that some Lebanese kids got into a fight with some white kids on a beach in Sydney. Happened, I think, in the early 2000s, during George W.'s time. And it apparently, the dispute, no one got killed, but it wasn't racial. But unfortunately, just like what's going on right now in Texas, all the kooks came out. And they tried to make it racial. Mm-hmm. But apparently, in the end, it was basically a dispute because apparently the Lebanese kids were acting a fool on the beach, and the lifeguards, who just happened to be white, tried to stop them, and things got out of hand. Yeah. And then, of course, there was another incident in London. And apparently, it's basically a reverse of what happened in Texas, where a black kid got stabbed by a bunch of white kids on the street. Yeah, it happened back when Clinton was president. And at first people thought it was just an attempted robbery, but then supposedly it came out afterwards that no, these guys weren't trying to rob the black kid, actually trying to kill him because, well, wrong color. Mm-hmm. But I have to admit, the Metropolitan Police shut that shit down real fast. They didn't allow all the kooks to come out and cause a riot. Now, of course, what's going on in Texas, I don't know what's going to happen next. But the way things are looking right now, like I said, it ain't looking good. And of course, as you saw in Watson's video, you got knuckleheads on stupid social media open their mouths and putting in their 2 cents. As you saw where some clown was talking about, stay away from me, Whitey, I was going to give you the pokey pokey. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And of course, you saw how they had to rerun that old snippet from the guy who used to write the Delbert comic strip. But of course, hey, anyone who saw what happened during the Summer of Love, hey, you don't need to listen to old that guy who writes Delbert. You know that there's some really bad people out there who, for loss of a better word, they just want to cause havoc just to cause havoc. They don't need much motivation. And indeed, that was probably one of the main reasons Summer Love got so bad. Because if you saw what happened after George Floyd, you saw a bunch of people coming out and just causing havoc in the town just to cause havoc. Because I remember the 92 riots that happened here in California. And most of the people who were rioting then didn't give a toss about Rodney King. Didn't give a toss about police abuse or nothing. They just said free stuff. And I'm not joking, because I remember seeing down there on Hollywood Boulevard how all the Circuit City and this place was just ransacked. People went in there and took all the Walkmans off the walls and just tore the place up. Yeah. And like I said, you have these people who don't need much prompting to get some shit going. The only question is, do the people in Texas got enough balls and enough brains to make sure that doesn't happen? Unlike the people up there in Minnesota failed to do. I don't know. Because remember, we are talking about Texas. And one thing I think Texans don't like is a bunch of people from the outside coming into their zip code trying to cause problems. And I think that if things start getting real stinky, I wouldn't be surprised if the governor of Texas, calls out the Texas Rangers and shut that shit down, and runs all these damn kooks, whether it be leftist kooks or damn stupid skinhead kooks, out of town, and make sure they stay out. Because what some of these clowns who you saw in Watson's videos don't understand is that when it comes to this country, the last thing you want is an ethnic war. Why? Simple case of numbers. There's simply more white folks than anybody else. And if you start something in this country, guess what? If you're not white, you're going to lose. Don't believe me? Wait, think what happened down there in Selma back in the 60s, when in the aftermath of Martin Luther King was doing his march on Selma, and they got attacked by the damn local police. Some of the people who were part of his march wanted to go get their guns and come back, and Martin Luther King stopped them. Yeah, and he said, don't you do that, because you start shooting at those damn stupid white folks, those guys got more guns and more bullets than we do, and they're going to kill every last one of us. And I'm thinking, no joke. And guess what? Nothing much has changed since the 1960s, demographics speaking. And that's why these people, these outside people who are not part of that community in Texas, should stay out and keep their mouths shut. Because what's going down there has nothing to do with them. Let those people down there in Texas sort their own business out. And you people from the outside, stay out of it. And if they can do that, we probably won't have another summer of love. And of course, anyone who can look at a calendar knows that summer is just around the corner. And unlike old Timmy Waltz, Cackling Harris's running mate, the last thing we don't need is people sitting there saying how the smell of burnt buildings fills me with exhilaration. Yeah. Old Super Tim Waltz's wife said that to that effect. Basically saying that the riots that burnt down big chunks of their state was a good thing. Well, guess what? It is not. It's dumb. And anyone who says something like that, they got rocks for brains. Period. Well, this is all I gotta say about that mess in Texas, and hopefully those damn people in Texas sort that shit out, and fast. And that's my opinion.